Merry Christmas. It's Monday, December 26, 2022, and lots to share about the code today. So we're in the last 52-day cycle, which began 13 days ago with Red Moon here. And Red Moon is a planetary energy, which means it's something we're all working on. So whilst you might have a mind sign in Red Moon, it's also a shared vision for authenticity and being the beacon of light, which has 13-year cycles in a loop, in eternity. And so the current cycle that we're in of Red Moon began in 2006, which is a 52-year cycle. And it went from 2006 to 2018, and we're now in the white refining tribe of White Wizard, which began in 2019, and we're in year 4 of it, which is red self-existing moon, which if you go back to the previous cycle and think about what was coming to light for you around being authentic, maybe you were speaking about things that people in your ancestral circle, for example, didn't have a clue what you were talking about. If you're watching this video, I would guess that'd be true for you. And the quest to become more authentic and to remember who we really are is a big key thing now, because we're now refining that process. So we're into all our empowerment issues. And whenever we begin a white 13-day process, we are working with it on a deep level, because that's the planetary energy. That's my perspective on it anyway. That's how I've learned to look at it. So today we begin a portal day of Akashic record. So you're going to experience some Akashic things in your life. So for example, what's that? Key patterns, your path. Something will happen today that's happened many times, so you can get a new look at it, a new take on it, see where you are with it. Do you want to play with it? Do you want to stay in that groove, or do you want to create a new groove, a new pattern, a new cycle? And whilst the sun is in Capricorn, this is big, and of course the light is now returning. So that's what I got with the language of light. Great cards, Mine Oracle. And also the Hierophant. So again, we can go through these Akashic records in terms of they're recorded so we can access them, so we can see where our human evolution story is going. And on a personal level, if you're in the tribe of White Wind, for example, then you're part of the tribe of Red Earth, White Wind, Blue Hand, Yellow Human, here to create new pathways. First and foremost for yourself. Remember, this is always about yourself first, and any other story that you're running is a propaganda program designed for you to fit into the slavery system of service, and that's a totally different thing. The most important service that you can give, in my opinion, is to serve yourself and let go of anything that's hurting, harming you, so that you can heal it, you can start new behaviours, and you can access your angelic guardian, goddess on board, your higher self, whatever you know that to be, an energy, a consciousness of wisdom that you can start to stream, download, and run with, providing you've got everything else in your circuitry is wired up to that. And we're all a work in progress. So, you know, we've got different programs running at different times around this. So again, being kind, gentle to ourselves without being in denial is a mastery process, a real mastery process. And now that we're in the Green Castle, this is where we're really seeing what programs we're running and where we are and what we're up to and how we're managing it and how we're not managing it. And the how we're not managing it is probably the most profound area to look. Now, if you watch my videos on a regular basis, you'll know that I talk a lot about emotional freedom technique. Emotional freedom technique helps you to come to terms with shadow story. So anything that is not the language of light, it is part of the language of light process. And the language of light process is working with a shadow. So yellow sun and blue storm are the mind signs at the bottom here, 19 and 20, who have the planet Pluto. Pluto's in Capricorn in the later degrees, and we'll be going into Aquarius in the next few days in 2023. And 2023 is going to be the year of the mystic shaping our destiny, because it adds up to number 7, which is blue hand, which is all about healing modalities and working with our shadow story so we can connect to our avatar potentiality. And of course, avatar on at the pictures at the moment. And I'm hoping to go and see that because it's a very inspiring movie, or it was the last 2009, I think, which again, strangely enough, sort of fits in the cycles that are going on now, which Jupiter in Aries, back in 2010, 2011. So what was going on for you back then? Where were you? What was in your life? And what's ready for an expansion of new beginnings, changing your storyline now? So in the next 13 days, we can really tune in with White Wind. White Wind is the second Mayan sign. And so as such, it's the new learning coming in. It connects to lunar moon, which is in the Virgo period of the year. So we begin the 13 moon cycle on the 26th of July every year. For 28 days, we have magnetic moon, and that's in Leo sun. And then we go into the new learning. So basically in the first moon, we're seeing what our attraction is, what's out there, what are we attracting in to help us become authentic and be the beacon of light, however that may show up. And then once we go into the second moon, which is the 23rd of July, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, when we go into Virgo, that is the lunar moon period. And so red lunar moon is all about our emotional story, our shadow story, our mum's story. And again, in the new year, which I'll make another video about that, we are going to go Saturn into Pisces in March. And that's going to be biggie for me because that's my Saturn return. So we're going big into the dreams. So whatever dreams our mum had, and interesting to note that what dreams did your mum have? If your mum's still around on the planet, maybe ask her what her big dream for this life was and see how that's reflecting back in your dynamic, in your holograph, and how it's influenced you. Because in my understanding, the more you know about your family and your ancestors and your own personal story, the more it'll help you to keep what is valuable and let go of what is harmful. And that's what's really coming to light now with Uranus. So we've got Uranus in Taurus, and I think it's around about, the North Node is there around about 10 degrees right now as well. Or it will be in the next few days, based off the astrology that I've been watching. So I'm just going to bring this up. We've got Mars at 10 degrees of Gemini retrograde, so that's a number 10 there. So remember, this cycle that we're in is all about what's manifest in Taurus, beginning 19th of May. And then how we can work with that energy as to see what we've got in our earthly adventure and what we'd like to keep, what we'd like to expand on, what feels good, joyful, wonderful, energy, uplifting, what we've come here to expand upon. And also, most importantly, what's coming to be cleared, transformed, healed, compassion for that dynamic, and to make sure that we don't carry on doing it thinking that we're going to get a different result than the one that we've already got, because we're not. It just doesn't work like that. The sun today is at 4 degrees of Capricorn, Mercury's at 23 and Venus is at 20. So big Capricorn, disciplined energy around the patriarchy on one level, and again, what's damaging in the patriarchy, how the feminine has been repressed and what that means. So on an esoteric level, again, going back to the Saturn in Pisces that's coming in, Christ consciousness in terms of undistorted story, free of shadow, that aligns with health, wealth, wholeness, brightness, being your shiniest self in a really healthy way, and not doing it out of some need to manipulate or be codependent and all of that dark stuff, around survival. So remember, going back to, I'm skipping about all over the place here, I know, sorry, but what came yesterday on Christmas Day was red cosmic serpent. Now, what that tells you when you get to a cosmic is that's the end of a 13-year cycle. And what you can do with all of these is you can then map them back to when they began and see what was happening for you then, and see this is how to use this. And you need a decoder for that. And again, if you'd like to join my group, which is Red Dragon 52 on Facebook, just send me a message under this video and I'll be in touch. I'll also put a free consultation thing on there, link on there, technical term, so that you can get in touch with me and we can chat. I know a lot of this stuff, if you're not familiar with it, can sound overwhelming. And I'm still in the process of trying to make it user-friendly, but it is complex, because things are, but there is a way to start to really work with it on a powerful level. And that's what I'm aiming to do, whilst at the same time going through mad times myself, as we all are. So anyway, back to the dragon, and I'll mention when that was on the dates, so we can tune into that as well, because this is really powerful. If you want to check out spirals, go onto my WordPress, flowwithjo.com, and there's loads of resources on there. Click on the menu, and there's, again, this is me doing it myself, so it's not in its best format. And they keep changing things all the time, so I haven't done one for ages because I just don't have the time and the patience at the moment to do it. But there are loads of different spirals on there, and I haven't done one, I don't think, for Christmas, but I will do one because now it's coming up. So this is really, really powerful. So we're on the 12th 20-day cycle, and that runs from what needs to shift around our old survival stories, which 13 years ago, think how well you've done, and where you are now, and down to yellow rhythmic sun, which is getting into balance of the language of light. And so that's the process that we're going through for the next 20 days. And the first 13 is going to be in white wind. So spirit, planet is Uranus. Planet, as I said, Uranus is at 15 degrees. Did I mention that? Let's look. Uranus at 15 degrees, Taurus retrograde still. And so we can look at, again, cross-reference that numerologically, And we'll see that the next final blue wave spell is Blue Eagle. Who am I as a planetary server? That's the 15th mind sign. So what's coming to light about how you feel grounded, how you find things ungrounding you, triggering you? This is where the gold is. This is where the sovereignty process is. So I pulled a lot of cards today around this. But in terms of sovereignty, so we've got the Queen of Discs, grounding, practical, get a plan that puts you first before anyone else. Put your oxygen mask on first, remember, is the famous saying. I also got the Queen of Swords. Get that mindset around sovereignty and truth. Speaking the truth instead of hiding it. Cut to the chase. Cut to, this is what I want with my life now, because now is the time when things are getting interesting. Let's put it that way. Ace of Swords. New mindset, Sword of Truth goes to White Mirror and Red Dragon. They both have Neptune, Sword of Truth energy. Neptune in Pisces, again, letting go of those distractions, those addictions, and accessing your dreams. What is that set my heart on fire desire? Because that's what we need to get in touch with now. Back to the Knight of Swords, missed that one. So again, taking action around how you communicate, how you think, what needs to come in so that you experience the highest potentiality avatar of your life, free from getting pulled down by everybody else in your dynamic around the ancestral story. Okay, so tens, what's manifest? 10 of Cups. Cups full and overflowing. Nice card, manifestation. If your emotion is in a really good, happy space. Now, yesterday, what was your Christmas day like? What did it feel like? Was it emotional? Was it challenging? What are you going on through right now? We had a big day yesterday. Lots of stuff going on in the family dynamic, and not being with some members of family as well, which is challenging. And people that you love, you know, to me, that's the most important thing. Being around people that you love, being able to be around people that you love. And often that's difficult because if you're doing a path of alignment, getting into truth, healing, a lot of people around you will not be, and will fight you tooth and nail on that, and will bring up lots of stuff for you. And again, that's all good to put in the mix, but as a human being, it's hard at times, very, very hard to see that going on. Other cards to mention, the 10 of Discs, Wealth. That's an amazing card because that shows you the process. Google that if you're not familiar with it. These are all Thoth cards. That shows you how to do a process. All of this stuff is advanced, and you know, wherever you are right now, you can start learning it, because we've all got to start somewhere. So, and this time of year is the perfect time to be starting, because it's all aligned with that. Starting to climb the mountain, taking the little steps. And Christmas, the distractions of Christmas, it's not at all what we're told it is. There's lots of distractions going on and pulling into dark energy around this time of material and consumerism, and putting a plaster, a band-aid over deep wounding. Lots of medical models around fixing the symptoms, which means the wound just has to get louder, bigger to be heard, because our body embodiment is always showing us where we're in alignment with health. And where we're not, we need to be paying attention to it and going deeper instead of, you know, just chucking more petrol on the fire, I want to say, is what comes to mind. You know, let's have another drink, let's eat more cake, let's go deeper into debt. Oh, you know, just forget about it. It's Christmas. Let's just enjoy ourselves. You know, what is enjoyment? Getting deeper into understanding what we're here for and what life is really meant to be about, not the story that we've been sold to keep us in this perpetual hamster wheel of trying to keep up. And as you get older, there's more and more to deal with, and you can't deal with it all. You know, that's the truth. And if you're a woman watching this, you'll know what I'm talking about, because women have been sold such a lie around how they can do everything, have everything, and look after everybody else. And, you know, you can't. That's the truth. And the older you get, the more you realize that. But it's hard to overcome the wiring. But with emotional freedom technique, you can. And the next spiral is going to be starting at the beginning of February. So I'm going to be creating some resources for people, women, because I work with women who are ready to really get hold of this energy, nail it, and, you know, start to really understand what is going on inside that's creating the outside, that's keeping them stuck in this perpetual wheel of karmic repeat. Okay, so I have a big awareness around this because this is my path and my story, and it's, of course, it's why I'm doing all of this. And I can share some resources and tools to help people. That's what I'm passionate about, helping people help themselves. So it's not about me doing it for you. I have a very good skill set around this. And as I've said, I don't have time to do it. I'm that focused on doing my own. I can only do what I can do and share some resources. Change is a coming. It's here. Virtue is what we need. Be true to thyself. Don't join the lack of integrity group. Knight of Discs. Again, take action around getting those resources lined up. Princess of Cups. When you were a young person, what was your emotional heartache? And how is that still showing up for you? And Eight of Wands, swiftness. Things are going to start happening very quickly now. So we're working up to a full moon on the 6th of January. Just looking at my notes now. And I was just watching Pam Gregory, who's got a great channel. So if you haven't checked her out yet, please check her out. And she was talking about how we have 5 new moons, I think she said, at 1 degree coming up. And we've had, or we're in the process of having, 7 moons at 16 degrees. Now, 16 degrees is yellow warrior in terms of the Mayan calendar. So it's our heart path. Number 7, again, mystic resonance. I've already mentioned that. Once we go into Saturn in Pisces, we will have that until 2025. So it's how to change those structures away from lack of good boundaries, addictions, falling into all this nonsense programming for women in particular. Again, nothing against men. It's just I work with women and their stories because I'm a woman. So once we come to the full moon in Cancer, which is what's coming up, which is 6th of January, and that will be at 3:07 p.m. Pacific time. Again, it's seeing how are we doing in our home? How are we doing around mothering and nurturing ourselves? And so it's the fourth house that we're focusing on in our particular chart as well, which is where the stairway to heaven goes up, the IC to the MC. This is where everything begins, that climb to creating heaven on earth. What you cherish, what you love, what's healthy, what's been wonderful in your childhood. And however bad your childhood may have been, there will always be something, there will always be a pot of gold that you can find. There will always be something positive. Maybe it wasn't in your own family that you can think of, but maybe it was in somebody else's family, a friend that you went to. Maybe it was a neighbor, maybe it was a teacher. There will always be something that we can find that's really positive, that's going to help us climb out of the dark pit of ancestral wounding. So again, this is not about blaming anybody. People just do what they do. They know what they know. And at the same time, it's about working with how we feel about that, being really honest about it, not doing a reframe, not doing a positive affirmation. With EFT, you start with how you really feel and work on that by yourself or with a therapist or in a circle. And you let that come out and you let that flow out of you and release it and heal it before you start doing any reframe work. Because if you've got emotional conflict still going on, if you've got fear going on, you're not going to be able to make changes. That's really, really important to understand. The emotional healing has to come first. Then you can start to make a shift. Because if you're procrastinating, if you're finding yourself doing lots of different things rather than the thing that you need to be doing to get yourself moving forward, to get yourself out there in the light, sharing your gifts and your path, then there's something that happened to you in the past that makes you feel scared of doing it again, which is perfectly, perfectly understandable. What I aim to do with these videos and sharing these resources and any workshops that I do is to help people understand how to work with themselves and that part of their brain that's holding that information and their heart, to let it go, to truly become free of it and confident and ready to try again. So it's just keep picking ourselves up, try again, and remove this energy from the past. That's really, really important. So dreams, what's your dream? You know, we could wave a magic wand. What would you do in this lifetime? What's something that you've always dreamt of doing? What inspires you, spirit? What do you feel passionate about? And what creates joy for you the moment you think about it? So dare to dream and get that written down. Start doing a vision board. Start getting those resources together, even if it might be totally wild and you think, oh, you know, I'm never going to be able to do that. What if you could? Because if it's in there, in your imagination, there's a reason for it. And it's going to be coming into this time of let's illuminate what's getting in the way, what's creating this diamond energy within us, because all this crushing repression, it's creating a dynamic within us, and it's using that energy now to push forward, ready for the spring solstice. So we've got Imbolc is coming up around the time of the next cycle coming up, the Aquarius cycle. And that's a time when all those seeds that are in the dark at the moment are starting to get more and more energy to start busting through the surface, ready for the solar wheel to run again. So, like I said, think back 13 years ago. And what has been a common theme for you around survival? It may have been a very real thing, you know, like not having a home, losing your job, not being able to carry on in the current trajectory because of everything that happened with COVID, for example, you know, so doors closed. And that can seem very negative in a lot of ways. That can seem very challenging. But once you start to really work with it on an emotional level, it will bring such amazing gems to light around your personal value system as well, what you treasure. Remember, have faith that the universe is bringing all of this. There's nobody taking over anything. There's nobody taking things off track. This is all part of the process of us going somewhere else, creating something else, birthing the new earth through each one of us. So we've got to go through our own personal process of transformation and learning what doesn't fit, what doesn't feel right. And remember, our society, the whole structure of it is built on thousands of years of sickness, bullying, repression, oppression, living out of balance with the masculine and feminine. And so it creates a dynamic in human beings that's also out of balance. And it's just remembering that. And then getting really focused on priorities and what you need to look at first and where you need to put all your energy, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now, and then reverse engineering them so you see where they've come from. So the workshops that I'm going to be offering soon, coming up, I'm working on a group basis, so doing circles, is about really identifying these threads, understanding them, knowing where they came from, healing them, and starting to do something else. And then when all the fear starts to come up, as it will, you know, because there's a part of us that wants to keep us safe, but this also keeps us stuck, then being able to work with that is absolutely fundamental to making this shift. Okay, so I just checked the dates. Got a bit of lag going on now. Hopefully it's caught up now. Yeah, seems to be okay. So I've just checked the dates for Red Dragon on Christmas Day. So this goes back to 2010. So 2010 for me was a huge year. It was the year after 2009 with the bank crash. And again, if you look at 2010, you can look at what was manifest around the emotional story, if you separate those numbers out, 2 and a 10. Today, with the sun in Capricorn, 4 degrees, step 4, this is the structure. This is really getting in tune with the structure of your spiritual journey now, free and clear of your ancestral story. And just imagine if you were completely clear of fear, what would you do? Can you imagine it? If you're completely unattached to any story or anything in your life, your house, family, friends, what could you do? Where could you go? Just imagine that. Just tune in and do a meditation on that. Now, if you look further back than that, take off 13 years. Just keep taking 13 years off. And I'll post that underneath some interesting dates. I'll look them up. Think about Christmases in your life and what's been manifest in them. And think about how much you've changed. Do get in touch with me if you want more info. Lots of love. Bye for now.